Welcome back. This week on Every Film in the Book, the snacks aren't free and your government's lying to you. I'm Steve.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm mad Steve doesn't know my name. We're all going to die in 6 months.
We're doing Don't Look Up, and I recommended this movie. I saw it on Netflix, and
this is a more recent one, right? I think
it was 2021.
Dang.
And that's when I saw the little preview card on Netflix, and I've been wanting to watch it ever since, I guess. And
yeah, no, you
finally got around to watching it.
Well, I mean, now that we've watched it, it definitely brings up the question. If we only had 6 months and 14 days and like 14 hours, what are you guys doing? Like, you want a new big screen TV? You only got 6 months to watch it.
I'm going into so much debt. Like,
much?
I would get as many loans and credit cards as I possibly could, and I'd buy all the shit I've ever wanted to buy and go all the places I've always wanted to go.
But that I mean, it makes me think, will the banks be lending? Or are they going to be like, no, screw you. We're dead in 6 months, too. I'm stealing this money.
When they found out at 6 months, nobody else knew or believed them. So it's the perfect time.
There wasn't any problems in society until she started the riot.
Yeah.
Literally. And even that was like a small little thing.
Yeah,
it was quelled in about a day. We were
12
good.
seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. So what would you do, Michael? 6 months?
I like what we discussed in the movie. I'm gonna run around and set stuff on fire. Just try not to get caught the whole 6 months.
Michael's like, it's a 6 month long purge. I'm ready.
Just run around, light something on fire, run away.
Yeah. What would you do, Steve, with 6 months?
Well, I'm going to the Ben & Jerry's factory. I'm gonna clear that place out. I'm gonna see if I can do it in one sitting.
You're going to say, fuck it to your lactose intolerance.
Oh, yeah. It's all out the window. I'm going to designate a bathroom corner, and I'm just going to go through that systematically. Yeah.
Everyone's looting. Steve just gets the dairy pills.
Yeah.
I got 3 boxes. This is either going to work
last me 6 months.
I'll break into a CVS. Like, I'll throw the brick through the window. Give me all your Lactaid.
We're going.
It's like, sir, we have painkillers back here. No.
I want the Lactaid.
I'm going to Ben & Jerry's.
I want to feel it the whole time.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, I don't have much high hopes for 6 months.
I'm not going on an ice cream spree.
Oh, I mean that's fine.
Maybe like take a weekend to do it though, but maybe not the whole 6 months.
Maybe one of the weekends we could like hijack a yacht and just like.
Oh yeah, let's push somebody off of a yacht.
Right?
That would be fun.
Who we pushing off the yacht?
I don't know. Whoever owns it.
Eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
Eat the rich. So if any one of us invites you onto a yacht, you're getting pushed off.
Yeah, you're going to want to decline that invite.
Couple things.
Yeah.
I didn't even read the 2 sentences under the title before we watched it. So I had
completely
no idea. You didn't tell us what you thought about it.
Yeah.
And
Steve watched it a day before Michael and I did.
Yeah. And
for time reasons.
He kept a secret. No spoilers. It was great.
Yeah. I tried my best.
And I feel like this is going to be a huge thing for you, Steve. I didn't know it was going to be funny.
Oh, okay.
He thought it was serious.
So for the first third of the movie, I was waiting because there was little bits, and I just expected the little bits to go through, not it get crazier as time went on. But then the whole movie got way crazier, so I was like, okay, they meant to do this. This was on purpose.
Right.
I wish I'd have known that going into it. Because I'd have enjoyed the second third much more than I did.
Well, all right. So just to bank off of that, so with the bit of comedy actually peppered in with this, I almost felt it was either not enough comedy, so that when the serious parts happened, it didn't seem that like serious to me, or if it wasn't like that the serious parts like hit as much, but like I could never really get like a footing. I'm like, am I supposed to find this funny, or am I like with Leo here, like crying my eyes out because nobody's taking this serious.
I will say that I felt it was very relatable. Like every emotion that they're going through, whether they're, you know, having that emotional like freak out because the world is literally going to end and nobody believes them. And then, you know, the other side, those funny moments, it felt very real. And I don't know. I think it was a more accurate representation of the emotions you would actually go through being in this situation. And it's a very weird position for them all to be in because like they went from being just scientists to then having fame sort of and meeting with the president, and then that goes to shit. And like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, all I'm saying is like, I didn't know if like if I didn't find it funny or like if it wasn't like in that like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point.
Well, I think I know what you mean, where there was some moments of seriousness, but they would put in something and then the next second go back to serious, and you're like, okay, well, this is where they're having an important meeting about,
right.
And Jonah Hill's being a dickhead, and it's funny, but also...
Yeah, I'm like I was more on the side of, I'm like, why are we making jokes? Like, he literally just said we have 6 months to live.
Right.
And I'm like, it was hard for me to like grasp, I guess, like the tone of the movie to where I was like, yeah, some of this is funny, but I'm like, like everybody's about to die, and you're like,
and I think it was only the people that were in on it at the start,
right,
that are, I don't want to say believable, but they were much more in tune with what was going on,
right.
And I feel like everyone reacted to them, and it was a strange reaction, but it's also a strange movie. So,
well, the one thing that I noticed right away is that it felt like a dystopian future sort of story where everybody's characters seem so unbelievable to us, where like we're not living in that world, and it's like, yes, it's America, and yes, we're on Earth, but it's almost like that Fahrenheit 451 sort of like insanity that you would never believe actually is happening in real life, that they're then relating to real life situations, and like, if this actually happened, this is what it could look like.
Right.
But I feel like a reason why they went with some comedy and some, you know, darker themes and all this mixed together is because they're going for that like sort of, it's supposed to be ridiculous.
Right.
Like they're doing that purposefully. And I don't know. I really liked that side of it. I liked that there was that like dark undertone to the whole thing, but they were making light of it.
Right. Well, it's like by the third time, like DiCaprio's going into like one of these meetings, and he's like, you know what? I think I'll take a Xanax. You know, I normally take about half, and whatever. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like by the third time of him doing that, I'm like, all right, I get it, but like, dude, we got it. We're all dead. Like, you got like 2 months. Maybe don't worry about the Xanax. Fucking start screaming at people.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is like once they do start screaming at people, it doesn't necessarily help, and then they have to find other tactics to try to get people to believe them.
And I also think that at the start, they thought they were going to believe them, and then...
Yeah, they're like, as soon as we say this, people are immediately going to believe us.
And
right.
it wasn't what they were expecting. There was some serious pushback from their findings, but anyway, they have to find the comet first.
Yeah, well, I love this giant telescope they had in the beginning, because like fucking Jennifer Lawrence is like blasting Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Like, that part was kind of funny because she's like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, dancing
We couldn't
around.
tell what she was saying. We had to start it over and like turn on the subtitles, and then we're like, oh, that's what she was saying. Okay.
She's rapping along to Wu-Tang Clan, and this giant telescope is just like whipping back and forth. It was kind of fun.
We turned it up, and then the telescope starts, and it was really loud.
Yeah.
We had to turn it back down.
But yeah, so we find out Jennifer Lawrence is studying the stars, and she makes a discovery at this point, and then we get the rest of our scientist group with DiCaprio and all those guys coming in, and they're all celebrating. They're like, oh my God, this is a momentous occasion. Let's figure out its trajectory. So like
I was confused by that, because I was like, all right, well, they're starting off with a party that they found the thing.
Yeah.
And I do know this is like not a good ending movie, so maybe I was taken aback by the celebrating at first, but
yeah.
then they went and did the math, and they stopped celebrating.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the quick shift that DiCaprio does here, he's just
realizes
like, you know what, guys, let's go home. I'm tired.
I can't
do this
finish it
tonight.
up. Yeah.
It's like I was hitting math perfect all night, but all of a sudden, brain lost. Can't do it.
Yeah. It was funny because he gets down to 0 on the whiteboard and then erases it.
Yeah, and like
I think that means it hits us. I think.
And I kind of like the little character beats with Jennifer Lawrence to like show that she's just as smart as DiCaprio, even though she's just like the PhD candidate.
Yeah.
But like, she is the only one in that room who's like, wait, how come these are going down?
Right.
And like, once she notices that and DiCaprio notices it, he's just like, all right, everybody else leave. The smart girl can stay, but you're all out.
One thing I really liked with the dynamics between the two of them is no one ever, like neither one of them refer to how weird they are. Like they're just two people existing. And I think a lot of movies would have like pointed that out to get like the cheap, witty dialogue between the personality types.
Right.
And I like how they just completely left all of that out. Like these are professionals that work together and they know each other are weird. And
like,
they
just don't talk about it.
He's not yelling at her. She's like, oh, I got to get high. And, he's taking Xanax.
That is my favorite freaking
like,
line.
Gotta go get high.
Yeah, because they're like, they're like, oh, this comet is like, what do I have here? It's 5 to 10 kilometers wide. And they have 6 months and 14 days, and all these other doctors have confirmed this. So like, it just cuts back to Jennifer Lawrence, and she's like, "I gotta get high."
But yeah, no, I like that they don't have those moments of like acknowledging relationships. It feels very much like you're just jumping into her point of like being in this position.
And the way they talk to each other and treat each other, it's like, this could have been like the third or fourth movie in a franchise, and that's how the characters are instantly acting. It's like we've been with them from the beginning. You instantly kind of click into their friend group here.
And everything from that point on, which is literally the first scene of the movie, continues to just go. Like we don't have any moments of lull in this whole movie. Like it's just one thing after another after another.
Yeah.
And it wasn't It was frantic where it was supposed to feel frantic, but the movie, some movies have a pace where it's just like, gee whiz, give us 3 seconds.
Right,
like slow the shot down of them getting out of the car. It's like, we don't need something different.
Right.
Every second. But they did push the pace, and I know we stopped the movie twice during it and always thought it had been longer than it had been. So, you didn't notice.
Right. But, after all of our scientists find out, we send DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and this other guy, Dr. Oglethorpe. I loved his name.
Yeah.
Dr. Oglethorpe. Yeah, they're on their way to go see the president. They get into the president's office, and I love Jennifer Lawrence. She's just like, all right, so let me just get this straight. We're about to tell the president that we're all about to die. And DiCaprio's just like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and she's like,
oh,
give me the bucket.
And then that was our title card.
Yeah,
right?
that's the opening credit. Like honestly is a great way to like, I guess, set up the movie before your opening credits. It tells you everything you need to know, kind of sets up the premise and kind of how we're dealing with this.
Yeah, that's your kind of movie, Steve.
Yeah. It was great.
But like, you can immediately tell that it's going to be very much like science-y. It's going to be funny, and they introduce the characters very well, and that like that's how they are for the rest of the movie.
Well, honestly, the way they set up this president and how like less she could care about this is ridiculous.
So laissez-faire about it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, because like they're sitting there waiting for their meeting with the president, and Jonah Hill comes through, and he's just like, hey, listen, guys, just give us like 5 minutes. We just got to take care of something really important. And then like you hear happy birthday being sung in the background.
Happy birthday.
And then it's the next thing where like you hear her like talking to her mom on the phone or something. And then like the next thing is like Jonah Hill is just, shooting the shit. And he's like, isn't this lady hot? Like, it's great. And like you realize the whole day has gone by and these guys are still just like
waiting.
Well, hey, when you're the president.
Yeah. And the whole time he's like, do they know why we're here? Because this is pretty urgent.
Yeah. Well, and like I said before, this was my favorite part of the movie because this is where they're sitting with that general And he comes back with like packs of crackers and water bottles, and he's like, "Oh man, they charge an arm and a leg for this stuff. You know,
like $10 each.
Yeah, if everyone just gives me $10, we should call it even." And like you think nothing of it, but this is like the best recurring joke I think in a movie that I've seen in a while.
And then the doctor guy like has a 20. He's like, "You got change?" He's like, "No, man, sorry."
No,
but, like,
no change.
I literally have this in my note, like, because I didn't realize what they were doing with this. Because I mean, this is the first time they bring it up. But I literally wrote, "I'm like, the world is ending. Why are we worrying about change right now?"
Right?
Like, just give them the fucking $20. Who cares?
Yeah, but I mean, they really show how the world keeps going, regardless of this information that should be life changing.
Right, because apparently they did brief the president, like, "Hey, they found this. It's an extinction level event. Like, we got to take care of it." And you know, it kind of shows that her like Supreme Court candidate is more important news than the world actually ending, because he's got like some controversial past.
And then they also bring up like pop stars and everything being like, well, this is what's trending on Twitter right now.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like nobody cares about your story. Like it's not front page news." I'm like, is this really what the world is, or is it just like over exaggerated?
It was kind of odd, but again, they started that nobody cares thing early on.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird to have those types of reactions towards a, planet killing. We call these planet killers.
Yeah. No, yeah, because like they finally get to meet with her, and even then she's like making jokes, and she's just like, "Oh, whatever." So it's like, what, 70% gonna hit? And they're like, "No, 100%
it's gonna
going to hit." And she's like, "All right, we'll call it 65. It'll be fine."
And this is kind of the first time. Was it Dr. Mindy or something? Wendy, something like that.
Yeah.
Dr. Mindy. He starts to get ruffled a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he's. I don't know. This next little section is them realizing that they're getting nowhere with the president,
right? And
they're being told to, and this comes up a couple times, like sit and assess or whatever.
Yeah, like that's her whole plan with this. Like, midterms are coming up. I don't want to spend a lot of money. Like,
right.
We're just gonna sit on this and wait.
And it's not. But again, while it's annoying to hear that this is the reaction, in essence, that's what they'd be doing anyways.
Right, yeah, that
like
is
they're
true.
like, okay, well, everyone that's important says we're not going to tell anybody,
right?
And that's about it.
Yeah, and if I can push it off to the next guy, then
right.
I'd rather do that than be the one to tell everyone the world's gonna end.
Well, yeah, because like Meryl Streep here, who plays the president, as she should, she's fantastic.
Go.
Yeah.
The subtitles. You could hear her talking. It just said "woman number one," and then she kept coming closer, and I was like, "Oh, it's Meryl Streep. Of course, she's woman number one."
Yeah.
Okay, so I should have known it was.
She is the number one woman.
They wouldn't have given her woman number two. That's ridiculous.
But no, she literally comes out in this meeting and was like, "Well, we just can't tell everyone they're gonna die."
Right.
Well, it's like you could tell people that. Yeah. Like, if it's really gonna happen, you should probably tell people that.
Well, they don't want all the looting.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like if you came out and tell people 6 months ahead of time, the whole country would go shit.
We can sit on it for 6 months and 12 days,
and then
there's
tell
only
people.
two.
Yeah.
That's how it would go, Steve.
But it's like
they wouldn't tell us. They would know, and they wouldn't tell us.
Well, like it's not that I'm denying that. It's 100% true. But it's that stupid thing in movies where it's always like I didn't tell you to. Because I didn't want to hurt you.
I wanted to protect you.
And I'm just like,
yeah, it's not that.
Like, 6 months. Tell me I have 6 months, because then I can go have fun for 5 of them, and then I can think about how I'm going to end it in the last month.
Yeah, but again, that just comes down to like
chaos everywhere.
Yeah, everybody would lose their minds.
I'd be stealing all your stuff, then lighting it on fire.
Well, that's fine. I won't need it in 6 months. You can take all my stuff. I don't give a shit.
What is neat though is it's not 3 days. And it's not 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Or it's not in 150 and, we're watching how do we, make the world better for our great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not, 6 months.
6 months. It's such a weird amount of time. And, most of the time it's hours or days or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like her decision wouldn't hold any merit if it was like 2 days. But
right.
Since it's 6 months, they're like, no, we could be rich and powerful for the whole time.
Right.
Or we could tell everyone and not be rich and powerful until we die.
Mm.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It makes sense from a corporate scumbag,
especially if you
like,
know there's a way off the planet ahead of time.
Yeah.
Come on,
They
people.
knew that.
God,
Come
I
on,
hate
people.
you, Meryl Streep. You're too
Come on,
evil.
Steve.
But yeah, from this meeting with the president, we get our first introduction to this like major tech company bash, and it's like the Steve Jobs kind of like stand-in like tech billionaire.
It's Apple.
Yeah, it's basically
It's Apple.
And like, you know, he's presenting his new phone, and it's like, you know, it can tell your emotions and all this shit, and like send you stuff to try and make you happy if you're sad.
And that was the scene that really confirmed for me the whole like dystopian future.
Right.
Like that's what that is.
That's what I wanted to ask was they have the change your moods and thoughts, and it shows you like
videos.
I don't know, he was kind of the billionaire dude, or the third richest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
He was
Crazy.
But he was weird, that eccentric billionaire that isn't what you want him to be.
Right.
Kind of like, it was even weirder than he should have been.
Yeah.
So, and that was one big thing, was the software like makes you how to feel. And then he said a couple times, he's like, you know, these bad thoughts will never ever happen again. You're like, all right, so the phone's doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a little.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. His vision looks a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it was like that, like, because after they kind of show you what he does, like, it kind of gives you a little bit of his character, because, like, one of the kids he has up on stage is like, hey, can I say something? And he's like,
no.
Nope.
No.
Anyway, and then the phone can do this.
Yeah, like, and that was probably scripted for her to say, like.
Yeah.
He's like deciding in the last minute,
Yeah.
"No, actually, I don't want you to talk.
Yeah.
Like, no. But,
so weird.
yeah, but, like, after you kind of get that phone, like, it does show you like a scene later on where like some major like some gossip news or something is happening, and the guy's like, I don't even know these people, and then they're getting like all this news based on these two people, and then it's like, my phone just bought 15 of his songs.
That's
like, I didn't even ask it for that.
Dr. Mindy's kids, right? That's
Yeah.
We see his family, and his phone just buys stuff for him.
Yeah.
Check your receipts.
But yeah, so at the end of this like presentation, the bash guy gets the information about the comet, and he's like, oh, okay, well, this seems interesting. And you're like, oh, well, maybe he's going to be like the savior. He's going to like get us all. And, you know, no, of course not. No, because the rich just want to get rich. But yeah, from here, DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are going on TV. And like they keep peppering in all these like shots of like wildlife and all this stuff, and it's almost like,
oh yeah,
look at all the stuff we're missing.
Can we talk about
the
this
stock
for a minute?
images?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was literal.
It felt like
so random.
Yeah,
It was super random.
there were some scenes where you're like, okay, they're showing like people in different countries and how the world is still moving on, and,
right,
and how like everyone's unaffected by it. But then, yeah, I don't.
Like
Every now and then you get like a
shows-
bee on a flower.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think it was their way of showing you like, oh, look at all the beautiful things in nature that are no longer.
Well,
gonna
when they
exist.
did that, it
Right.
made sense.
Yeah.
But when they did other stuff, that was just like, here's some people, here's some other people.
There was like
here's some
bacteria under a microscope.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like what?
Like, I fully get what they're trying to do. I'm just questioning their execution. Of it.
Yeah. No, it was a little.
it was a little
weird.
goofy.
Because like when I was sitting here watching it yesterday, I was just like, oh, I get it. The hippos are gonna die. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Shut up.
It's like, okay, we know everything's screwed.
Yeah.
No, quick, look at everything.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, aren't these giraffes cute? I'm like, motherfucker, I know they're cute.
Well,
Stop.
I do feel like they put those moments in as like a break between different chunks of the movie, because they did that maybe like
they
3
did it
times.
just a couple
Yeah,
times.
something like that.
So I feel like, especially the last time it happened, I really felt like they were shifting to like the last act of the movie, as you could say. So I feel like they placed them in okay spots, but it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It was goofy. 100% goofy.
It was
It was
goofy.
super goofy. And the first time they did it, I was expecting, it's like, quick cut. Quick cut. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna, like, should I be following something? Is there a theme for all these photos? And they did it again. I was like, they're just goofing.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
just being jerks.
Someone's gonna come out with a video and be like, why every single scene that they showed makes perfect sense.
Which,
It's like the hidden meaning behind the hippos biting each
Right.
Yeah.
right. But the one thing I did like, and this is where I finally clued into the overall tone of the movie was when they had, so the information's out about this and nobody believes it. And they have Chris Evans telling you that,
we made a movie.
we made a movie describing what's happening because, it's a popcorn movie. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like,
all right. It's all coming together.
But yeah, just to also like really lay home, like, I guess how serious everybody's taking this. So DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are getting ready for their TV show, and they're in hair and makeup and all this shit. They get brought to the green room, and Ariana Grande and all of her like cronies are around.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
And like the producer comes out, and it's just like, hey, so all right, when you get on there, try and keep it light, try and keep it fun. Like our hosts like to have a good time.
They like to have little science segments.
Yeah, and like
that's what they called it.
And like Ariana's just like, well, and then I get to talk about my song, right? Because it's every proceed or like every couple
for the manatees.
Yeah, it goes to the manatees, and they're just like, yeah, of course, but you're going to talk about the breakup first. And DiCaprio chimes in, he's like, hey, I heard about your breakup. We're really sorry to hear that. And she tells him to go fuck himself.
Go fuck yourself, old dude.
Yeah, and I'm just like, holy shit, he was just being nice.
Yeah, it tells him mind your business.
Yeah, she's like, mind your own business, you old fuck.
Kind of brutal.
What the hell, man?
Well, I think she's really just there to play that like typical asshole pop star.
Yep. But I was just like, Jesus Christ, girl.
It was really funny though.
And then so they're doing the whole breakup thing on the trashy talk show, and then they're like, oh, we're getting together, and that's when the DiCaprio son is like, I just bought 15 of his songs. I didn't even ask for this.
So they get engaged,
and this is the first time we see the company with these phones do anything like wrong,
right?
Like the whole time we just think he's a weirdo. That's like, oh, they just exaggerated that role.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay,
oh no,
maybe he's a scumbag.
Guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kitty's playing with my headphone cord.
Yeah, no, she's down here trying to get pet.
But yeah, I mean, I think they take that whole like corporation thing to an extreme.
Yeah, because like I keep writing throughout my notes, it's just the world is freaking ending. Like, why are we doing it? Because it was like that whole like them getting back together thing, and all the people are cheering, and I'm like, why the fuck do we have time for this?
Well, nobody knows at this point.
And like, and then DiCaprio and Lawrence finally take their spot on the show, and like, Jennifer Lawrence kind of has a breakdown, and she's like, are you guys fucking kidding me? Like, we are all going to die. And even DiCaprio has to kind of be like, well, I didn't give her that extra Xanax this morning.
I think it was funny that the first time he's on they really show you like how much they did not want to be. Like, he was nervous about everything, and it took a while for him to come into the limelight. And the first time he's on, Tyler Perry says something, and he accidentally makes a joke.
Right.
Like, I don't think like he stumbled into something funny.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, that's the reason why he blows up and becomes the world's sexiest scientist.
Oh, well, I mean, it is DiCaprio.
World's sexiest
Dude
scientist.
set a trend with his dad bod.
He did.
Fat men everywhere thank him.
Yeah, the
That's
beard
going out
and
to you,
glasses
DiCaprio.
look like.
Yeah, but the whole thing that comes from this talk show is everybody thinks they're crazy. The newspaper that they go to for help also thinks they're crazy. None of this is being backed by anybody else,
right?
And they basically just get swept under the rug.
And then Jennifer Lawrence's boyfriend like comes out with an article.
Oh my god,
on her.
yeah, it's like a tell-all story. It's like sleeping with the devil.
Yeah.
The crazy girl from TV. I used to sleep with her.
And she's like, I guess my boyfriend broke up with me.
Yeah, she's like, my boyfriend's sort of husband just broke up with me. But like, and then she even becomes a meme. Yeah. Like, it's like, we are 100% going to die. And then they just slap her face on like some fucking meme.
But it feels very like this could actually happen.
Yeah, because
something like this came up.
Because literally after this, DiCaprio turns into like a conspiracy theory guy, where he's now on all these like message boards, and he's like trying to defend like, oh, actually, science is real because your computer is made of it.
He was getting mad because he's like, oh, no, it's 70% gonna hit. He's like, no, I did the math, and
Yeah,
but
then
like,
people are trying to discredit him and everything, and
and like
it'd be frustrating.
This is where I kind of start losing the movie a little bit.
Okay.
Because like, all right, now we're we're dropping hints that like his marriage is on the rocks because he's too focused on the world ending.
And he's being seduced.
Yeah, he's being groped by a lady on national television.
No, but before this even happened, like he's just on the computer like arguing with the fucking people, and his wife comes in and she's like, I'm going for a walk if you want to join me. And then like,
yeah, he does say, he's like, I have 250,000 subscribers. I have a voice. I need to use it. And it's like, come on.
It's like, all
come
right.
on.
I'm like, really? we're doing this now. And then like,
you can't take a walk.
Yeah. And then he gets fucking arrested. And so does Jennifer Lawrence and this Dr. Oglethorpe. But it's just so funny.
He got it once good.
Yeah. Well, I love that like they get Jennifer Lawrence while she's like running at school, and like all these people like pop up out of nowhere, and she's like, "Oh, geez, you could have just fucking called me."
Met me at my
blind
apartment.
guy. She's like, "Are you dressed up like a blind guy?"
They put him in handcuffs.
Yeah, but I just love when like they get him there, and they're like, "Hey, you guys are leaking secrets. Like, you can't be doing this." Blah 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 blah, and Jonah Hill like goes to Jennifer Lawrence and it's just like, they didn't have to black bag you. I personally asked them to do that.
That's my favorite moment from his character, honestly.
That's the only one I paid attention to, really.
Yeah.
To be honest.
He's like, I didn't have to do that.
It was so much of the same thing from him.
Yeah.
That
I hated
there was only a
this
couple
movie.
lines that landed well, and one of them was that one. Yeah.
But I think they purposely put Jonah Hill in that role so that you could hate him because I'm sure a lot of people do.
And like there was some like behind the scenes stuff I was like looking at where Jennifer Lawrence was even like, yo, this guy's a piece of shit.
Right?
Like she's like, some of that was scripted, and they're like, some of that he was just coming at me
I'm
with.
sure they told you. It was like, just be an asshole. And
and he's like, all right, so I'll just be myself. Cool.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. But like some of that stuff was like so personal. Like he's just like coming after her for how she looks, like who she is. Like I don't think at any point he was just like referred to her as a woman. He just kept going like, all right, gentlemen, this way. Like,
he does do that a couple times.
like, he's fucking crazy.
Oh, jeez.
But
the president's son.
was he actually the son?
Yes.
Yeah, he calls her mom. And
well, like the first time they say like, oh, you're just the son. He's like, no, I am whatever his position is.
Yeah,
and
the
then
chief of staff.
Later he says like, all right, mom, or something.
Yeah,
like
but he
that.
keeps calling her a smoke show, and he's like, I'd hit that, wouldn't you?
In the podium when he's giving one of his speeches, he's like, I tell you what, if you weren't my mother.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, gee whiz.
Oh my God. Yeah, but
gross.
Which they're both the president and her son.
mm-hmm.
Neither one are. Well, Meryl Streep did much better public speaking than Jonah Hill did.
Oh my
but
God.
Also, some of the stuff that Jonah Hill was saying, and some of them, like at the rallies and stuff, he's like, the lower people, the poor people, you're what give us the gumption to go fight the other people, which is why we get money and stuff.
He's like, do you understand what I'm saying? The lower class.
No, I just love. He's like, let's just say a prayer for like stuff. I kind of like stuff. Like weekend at the beach. Those watches, pretty dope. I like shoes. Shoes are fun.
Yeah, and that stuff might go away. And
he's like, I don't want to see that go away. Like he's such an asshole. But like after these guys get arrested and they're taken to the White House for spreading all this, fake news,
leaking secrets.
This is where the White House is actually taking this seriously, and they're like, well, we hired our own scientist, and they've confirmed what you said. So, you scientist over there, you're going to take the hit for this. So just resign in disgrace. It's fine.
That was just somebody in
And she was like, all right, I will resign tomorrow morning. Like, no question.
Yeah, and I just love that DiCaprio was just like, yeah, no, she's just an anesthesiologist. Like, it's fine.
Right? He has some... He's not normally saying the funny stuff, but he is most of the time a lot of the source of what's funny going on. And I do like how they gave him a couple lines like that.
He's got the few zingers in there.
But only a couple because everybody else is doing it. He doesn't need to.
But like, I think they made him like the right amount of like, like you were saying, like he's accidentally funny. Yeah. Like it's not, he's not going in there trying to make people laugh. Like I think Jennifer Lawrence was. Yeah. Like he's just
she would say some extreme stuff, and they did that a bunch with a lot of the characters. They'd say something extreme that was just completely inappropriate for the situation.
Oh yeah. But what is it? This is like they're they finally decide they're going to deal with the
Right.
comet, and they're going to send somebody up there. They're going to try and divert this fucking thing.
We're like,
And-
oh, finally.
And I just love there's a news report where DiCaprio and Lawrence are starting to do like the talk show circuit and stuff, and they go on this like more conservative looking like kind of talk show, and she's just like, no, this thing is real, like it's dangerous, and it's like, well, the comet literally has your name on it, right?
What is that supposed to mean?
And she's like, well, what does that even have to do with anything? And he's like, well, just answer the question. And she's like, what the fuck is the question?
Yeah, it does get kind of political, and they're definitely drawing some lines with certain things.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of pokes fun at both sides, where it's like,
oh, well, 100%.
yeah, and like, they really dumb down some of the more conservatives. They've really fucking self-righteous the liberals.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, no one party in this is like set as
they're just making fun
hero.
of the system itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're just showing how everybody would react with different beliefs.
Right. Well, and it's almost like even the people who are taking it seriously, it just becomes like a trending Twitter story, a TikTok trend, and then it's done, and then it's over with, and it's like how we deal with everything. It becomes like trending for like 6 months,
right?
And then it's gone.
They show you like the progression through news and social media,
right?
Yeah, and when they do the rocket launch thing,
oh yes,
and they're doing the rocket challenge, and everyone's just blasting themselves in the face with firecrackers.
That's I forget the fella's name. The first guy that shoots himself in the neck with a rocket.
Yeah.
He's like done stuff with Jackass and stuff.
Oh,
I forget his name. Yeah. And
do you think he actually did it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was putting out YouTube videos, and I think the story is somebody saw it and showed it to one of the Jackass guys. I think Steve-O or something like that. And he was like, all of a sudden, and because they put him in the last one they made.
Really?
I think he was in it. Yeah.
Shit.
I could be. I haven't seen it for a while, but yeah, he does. Yeah, they do, because they push him. He goes off a skateboard flat on his back into a cactus.
And shit. Okay.
It looked like it was rough.
Yeah.
But,
No. That.
Yeah. So he 100%. They probably, since it was a big picture with a lot of big names in it, they had to have some type of, this doesn't actually have the explosive in it, or they changed it somehow to make it safe.
Right.
He definitely hit himself with a bottle rocket in the face.
And well, I mean, speaking of big names, like Ron Perlman gets introduced, and he's our guy that we're setting up to try and divert
America
this comet.
Needs a hero. America always needs a hero.
I love when when he's like up on the rocket takes off, and he's like making his final address, and he's like, all you hardworking white people out there.
And everyone's like, he's from a different time.
Yeah, I love
different
every
generation.
time they're just like, it was a different generation.
It was a different generation.
He's just saying like blatantly racist.
And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude. And he's like, in the Indians. He's like, what if you guys teamed up? That'd be great.
That'd be cool.
And they're like, all right, focus on the mission.
And he's like, oh, yep, roger that.
Because the tank had to come off or something super important.
When he comes back at the end of the movie and he's shooting a gun at the comet, and he's like, you'll never take me alive.
Just starts
cracked
blasting. So funny. Runs out of rifle ammo, puts it down, pulls a pistol, and starts shooting. Yeah. It's great.
Oh my
So
God.
fun.
But like, there's all this happiness. Everybody's like, yay, we're saved. And then the rocket starts turning around.
Right.
And like the guys in the crowd is just like, well, actually, it's just a course correction. That's totally normal.
I'm in the Navy.
I would know.
Yeah. And then the guy with the binoculars is just like, nope.
They're definitely turning around.
Yeah, he's turning around.
And they don't really show you too much. You do see it go off course.
Yeah.
But you're like, I wonder what happened.
And then they kind of cut to like you're now in some office space.
Yeah, well, because this is where it cuts back, and Jennifer Lawrence is like, well, maybe it was just like a power trip. Like, what did he need $10 for the snacks for? Like, the snacks were free.
He's talking about the snacks.
Like, the first time it gets brought up again, where she's just like, I just don't get it. Like, what does he need the snacks for?
It was a power play, man. I'm telling you.
And then we realize that like nobody really knows what's going on and why they turned the whole mission around, and the president isn't coming out and saying anything.
Right.
And I think they just have like Jonah Hill come out or something, and it's like,
Jonah Hill brings DiCaprio into the meeting, which finally tells you what happened.
And he's like, "You're now the chief of whatever,
the head chief of science or something."
Gives him like a title,
some bogus title.
Yeah,
and he goes into the meeting and he finds out they stopped the mission because this tech genius is like, well, there's a bunch of minerals on this comet.
There's a chance it can make me a lot of money.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, there's like $73 trillion.
142 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, this would be a major thing, and I have this whole plan, and we're going to blow it up. It's great.
Because
have you seen Armageddon?
Jonah Hill says, what is it, $1.4 trillion.
Yeah. It's just like
$1.4 trillion.
$1.42 trillion or something like that.
Like,
it's like, gee whiz.
I just love because like DiCaprio's just like, well, what was this like tested or anything? And like Jonah Hill's like, hey, hold all questions into the end.
Right.
And that's when the tech guy's like, yeah, 143 trillion. He's like, $1.43.
$1.43 trillion. But this is the they explain why he's able to, and it wasn't my favorite reason why he was able to pull off something on that scale that possibly could blow the earth up. But then Meryl Streep has the president. I'm sorry, the president. Madam President has a line where she's like, "Oh no, he's a super platinum donor. He has full access to everything." Yeah. And then you never question why he's in the background or walking up or making decisions.
Yeah. And it's really that whole like billionaires run the world trope.
Right. Mm-hmm. They jam that one right in your throat.
Yep. He's a CEO of a multi-trillion-dollar company.
Yeah.
But he's not a businessman.
He's not a businessman. Don't call me a businessman, motherfucker.
He's a little crazy.
But DiCaprio gets back to Jennifer Lawrence and Oglethorpe, and they go to a bar, and he's explaining the situation. He's like, hey, guys, wouldn't you rather me be in here with like a foot on the brake just in case, or would you want me to quit? Because I'll quit.
Well, that was their whole thing was, we can affect it. We can affect it. We can affect it. Now, all of a sudden, they're completely shut off. It's out of their hands. And he's still in there. He's like, well, it's better to be on the in the know than not in the know and not be able to do anything. He's like, got to try or something like that.
And like this is when the people in the bar are kind of like, hey, you guys look official. You're talking about why they turned this around. Like, you need to tell us. So Jennifer Lawrence gets up on her stool and she's like they
freak out number 3.
They want to mine it so some rich fuckers can be even more rich.
Right. And then it cuts to a riot.
Yeah, everybody's instantly
cell phone footage of rioting, stuff going through windows. It was pretty funny.
Oh my god! And then she's in the back of a car with a fucking black hood over her head.
That's like the second time she's in the car.
Yeah, she gets arrested a couple times.
And DiCaprio's just like, hey, geez, we tried our best here. Oh man,
it is funny, and I know why they separated those two characters' public profiles so much, is so you could do one extreme and the other. But it was kind of funny how in the first time they're to be on television, they say she needs media they say he needs media training.
Yeah,
he's like, and they're always reminding him, simple math, keep it, no math. They say that to him a couple times, and he ends up stumbling into decent media training. She's freaking out, and I thought that was pretty funny. But we get to watch him grow into that persona. Yeah, and I know we don't have to get like too into all the personal relationships and stuff, but he's like has an affair with the TV star, and
because like that's where
different experiences on that spectrum where she goes and meets that boy. He has that. They just show you both sides of that.
And it
coin.
all branches from like her initially being labeled as crazy on that first conference, and him being like the stud.
The sexy astronomer.
But I did like that they showed both sides of how that went, because it's it was just nice to see both sides of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that's it's kind of like what I said. That's where I kind of started falling off, is when we started like doing this branching off thing.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed to almost go a little too long.
Wow, but they couldn't get back together then.
Well,
how do you bring them together for that last meal if they didn't fall apart?
I know, but
come on, Steve.
I don't know.
We're all in this together.
There's always like a falling out, and it just happened to be with the two like leading characters who were not in a relationship. Like it was a different character.
I think I just kept putting myself in knowing that I only had 6 months left to live. And I'm like, why the fuck are we arguing right now? Why are you like...
That's Jennifer Lawrence's character.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Jennifer Lawrence. I'm talking about DiCaprio and this whole affair plot line where I'm just kind of like, why do we need that?
He gets swept up in it.
And if you think about it, if you know in the back of your head you have 6 months to live, you're probably more likely to do crazy shit because you're like, well, fuck it. Like... How bad can it be if I just cheat on my wife?
At that point, he was still following the rules, so to speak.
At no point, does outside of that scene where he gets arrested and the wife is like, "Hey, I'm going out for a walk if you want to join me," then she just drops out of the movie altogether, and he's with this other girl, and you don't notice him wearing a wedding ring. So I just thought they literally got divorced off screen, and we would never see her again.
I didn't notice.
And then it comes back to that point where she discovers the affair and we're arguing, and he obviously chooses he chooses the TV star, and she's like, "Oh wow, that was super easy," and just walked out. I was like, there's literally 2 months left. Why are we doing this right now? I don't know. I just thought it just seemed kind of slowed things down a bit.
Well, I feel like they're really showing you that life is still happening, and there is still going to be drama, and he made a dumb decision and cheated on his wife, and then he was put into that position, and I feel like instead of him fighting and trying to go after her, he knew, well, there's only 6 months left. I guess I'll just...
Might as well. She's a little hotter.
Might get some strange, you know?
I see... we don't have to keep going back and forth on it. I can see why.
Yeah, it just seemed like that was the break pushing moment where it was like, okay, now we're kind of stalling for this fucking DiCaprio dealing with his morals thing.
Right. And I'm glad we didn't do it too much, but also we hadn't found out about the fix. So, the billionaire guy has a way to fix it. We don't know about that yet.
Right.
So I can see why you're like, yeah, they did, dive into the characters at probably the worst time.
Right.
But at least...
But there was no other time to do it.
Yeah, there was no other time to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, you just throw it in the middle and it's
just chuck it in there.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, though, because it is... Not that I care that much, but then they drop the TV star just as fast.
Yeah, and then she's gone.
She's gone.
Yeah, she just one day decides, you know what?
Yeah.
No thanks.
Well, and this is where Jennifer Lawrence meets that dude she lets steal all the liquor from her store.
Yeah, she's having her fuck it moment.
Yeah, and this is the one time where I was like, you know what? Why even go to work? Why are we even having jobs? You got 6 months.
Something
That's
to do,
true.
I guess.
Yeah.
But also, she didn't have a bunch of money sitting around. She's still trying to eat food for the next couple months.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I think, again, it's to just... Their experiences were polar opposites.
Yeah.
So he was around that lavish lifestyle with the TV and all that.
And she was the...
Not. And now she's hanging out with, I just want to do hood rat stuff with my friends.
Yeah.
I just can't help it, Mom. Feels so good to be a gangster.
It does. And Timothée Chalamet is that gangster.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently.
Oh, that's who that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, I mentioned there was two people that I wasn't expecting to play the roles they played.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Meryl Streep was going to be the president, but for the character of president they chose for the movie, Meryl Streep, that's 100% who I'd want doing it. And then Timothée Chalamet, I didn't know he was going to be the what I call it, the religious burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
it was
raised
funny.
Evangelical, and they kept it as broad as possible.
Right.
It
was funny too how at the end he had that really that prayer that was heartfelt and
I knew that was coming.
He doesn't he doesn't really add any other. She's just kind of his toy for the rest of the movie. Yeah. But then he adds a little bit of depth.
Right.
And everybody was able to realize it for 27 seconds or something like that. It wasn't that much longer.
But this is where we get to the Bash Factory, and DiCaprio's still the chief science guy, and they're showing him the rovers or whatever that they're going to land on this comet to try and break it apart and get the fragments back. And DiCaprio is questioning, like, hey, you know, the scientific community's kind of questionable on this. Like,
I forgot.
Did you get this like peer reviewed?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the bash guy just dresses him down. He's like, I know how you're gonna die. I knew everything
Right?
about you before you walked in the room.
He gets like at a different
Turns
level.
into
Like
Bane a little
he was
bit.
just asking if he got it peer reviewed, and then he's like, "You're gonna die, bitch."
But as a scientist, he was concerned and he was trying to be polite about it, but also, you know, forceful with his intent.
Yeah.
But he also knows who the guy is. And
Right.
then, I don't know, it's kind of creepy. That really showed you the extent of the phones. They're like, I know what you're, like, I don't, what does he say? He says, I don't only know who you are, I know what you are. I know exactly what you're made up of and what you're afraid of. He's like, you're gonna die alone.
He's like, and you have
Like,
three.
gee
You have
whiz.
3 colon polyps.
Right.
2 of them are okay. One of them you might
He's
want
like,
to
"You might want to
get
get
looked
that checked out."
at. Yeah.
Nothing pressing, but you know, at your next appointment. It's like,
What?
dude, this is 2 months left. I'm not going to the doctor
Yeah.
for
And like,
something that's not killing me.
and like even Meryl Streep kind of has like a weird sense of like irony in this
Yeah.
part, because like she's like, oh, you're so lucky he finds you charming, and then lights a cigarette next to a big vat of flammable
Yeah.
something behind her. And I was just like, are you kidding me, man? This is
Well,
great.
They made a big point of her, you know, for the first 3 months of my campaign, I always felt like I was hiding my cigarettes, that no one could see me. And then
Yeah.
I just didn't care. And look what I've become, the smoke show
Yeah,
president.
I'm the hot one.
Gee whiz.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
And then like on the other side, we have Jennifer Lawrence being like, "They're not as smart as you guys think they are."
like you're making them out to be like these evil geniuses. They're too
Yeah.
dumb to do
Like,
anything.
I bet the corporation is going to do that. And it's like,
It's like, that's your conspiracy theories are great, but you give them too much credit.
Yeah, seriously.
way too much credit.
But yeah, so she's still hanging out with those guys. We get a little time check. We have 25 days left. And DiCaprio's going back on this talk show. It was like the Daily Rip or whatever.
Yeah, she's
Right.
like, "We have to have you back."
Yeah.
on."
Well, and this is where he starts getting
Well, yeah, this
kind
is
of drastic with it.
this is the part where I was just like, see, this is why you put DiCaprio in these types of movies, for this kind of
Right.
explosive like acting. Like, because once he had this freak out, like
Once his lid
I was
pops,
back into the movie.
Yep.
I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. Like, I needed this scene maybe a little bit earlier of him
Right.
like freaking out.
What'd you call him? You said he's an animal or something.
Yeah, he's a freaking animal. Like, this guy is like screaming at the top of his lungs. He's like, what do we have to say? You are all going to
Right.
die. Half of you don't believe us. The other half is too stupid to do anything about it. And your government is literally lying to you
Yep.
for profit.
And the one thing I liked is they do go into the actual, like, I know it's a movie, but they give the percentages of like, wow, 36% people don't think it's going to hit. 23% of people don't even think it's real.
Yeah,
And-
like all the people being like, "Oh, it's a hoax."
And when you think about it, 23% of the plant, that's a lot of people that don't buy into it.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. They got technical with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And like this is I was blown away by this scene, because like the amount of like power that DiCaprio gets in some of these like what the fuck is wrong with you people type
Right.
moments where it's like, I was like, all right, give this man more
But
Oscars.
you got to hand it to him. He's got a long fuse.
Yeah.
But then it seemed that after he changed a little bit, the way he reacted towards what was happening changed a little bit, because I feel like he, as a doctor in the scientific community, was trying to follow all the rules, and they were just letting him down. And then
Right.
he's finally had enough, and he exploded enough to warrant all the like stuff that he had to say, or make
Yeah, 'cause, like,
FaceTime on TV. And
I was gonna say Jennifer Lawrence had that moment like way earlier
Yeah.
on. She immediately started like, she's like, "I've been crying 3 times a day." Like
Yeah.
she had that like grieving that the world is gonna end way earlier than he did.
Yeah.
But like this, like when the lady is just like, well, president whatever says it's totally fine. He's like, your president is fucking lying. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah,
I did
he really
like
had
how
it.
they literally said all the things that not any TV, but most TV shows would not want you to scream that on their program,
Right.
unless it's one of those TV shows already.
Right.
So, on the trash TV, they don't want you screaming about the
Yeah,
president.
But like during this, it's so hard to like not take him seriously in this because like he's saying really accurate stuff. He's like, what the hell happened to us? Like we're taking tragedy when we turned it into like memes or like, you know, somebody literally has scientific evidence proving this and you all think you're right because of your own biases or your own ideals.
Where's the gravity of the situation, if you will?
Gravity. It's like the moon's crashing into the earth or something.
Oh my God. Nanotechnology.
Which they kind of use.
They kind of use nanobots.
It was large. They weren't, the bots weren't nano, but they used technology. And
they didn't mention anything about the intergalactic war that we've been in for about 1,000 years.
They didn't. Yeah. One thing I didn't like was they did the science stuff. I don't know if all the terminology was right. I really don't care. It sounded legit. Whatever, I'll buy it. But when we finally learned of the plan to explode the comet instead of, you know, moving it off trajectory because it's worth something.
Yeah.
I said to Danielle, I was like, if they're going to break it up into pieces, these pieces have to be big enough to still hit the earth and have enough mass to be worth.
You're not changing the mass. You're just breaking it up.
Just breaking it up. So
now there's a bunch of impact zones instead of just one.
Well, the thing is, if you break it up really slow, it all burns up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Which they were trying to deflect it and do a bunch of that. So anything, they get it off course that it misses, and all the little stuff doesn't make the oceans go dry.
Right.
But if they're going to mine it, it needs to hit Earth with enough substance to be mineable, which would still jack the planet up now in like 700 places.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't sure how he sold his PR team on that part of the plan.
Right.
They're like, well, yeah, it just has to hit, you know, maybe not the people on the planet.
Yeah.
And then we can
aim
go
for the ocean.
And well, the 70% water, it would be so hard to mine after it hit it and also own everything that got hit because it's the whole planet.
He picked and chose the scientists who would be yes men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is.
I know, but still, it's like there's going to be some big chunks hitting.
Yeah, it doesn't really line up.
But
I think they would not want it to happen. Then, you know, we need to not be able to call it a planet killer anymore. Like just a planet half killer, and then we can mine it. So that was my grievance with the science, and that was about it.
Well, so after DiCaprio has his freak out, we cut back to Jennifer Lawrence. She's sitting up on the roof with Timothée Chalamet, and again she's like, "Yeah, well, like she's a 3-star general in the United States military.
Back to it.
Why did he need the money for the snack?" But she looks up and she can see the comet, so she calls DiCaprio, and DiCaprio's in traffic, and he's like, "I told all of you people, we tried to warn you. Now you can fucking see it."
And that's when everything kind of changes for the rest of the world.
I really like that they did this, like the choice to do that emotional scene between them two. I completely I didn't think that this was an option. Oh right, you're gonna see it before. Like that thought never came to my mind while watching the film. It was like, oh, eventually you're just gonna look
you're gonna
up.
see that thing coming at you.
They're only not believing until they see it.
Yeah.
And I forgot that, like, oh, at some point they're gonna see it.
Well, yeah,
and they did a
like
good job of meshing them back together.
Right, and it literally starts this whole like campaign where the one side wants you to look up, the other side doesn't want you to look up.
I didn't really get that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think that made perfect sense.
Well, yeah, divide the country over an issue, but I don't understand. They should have done that before you could see it, like establish that
before
group.
It's in the fucking atmosphere.
Right. True, they could have established that, but I feel like as soon as it was visible, that's when people really went hard into like you should worry about it or you shouldn't.
But like, and the thing that gets me about about the don't look up people, it's like how many times during your day do you just happen to randomly look up, like not even thinking about it? You're just like, oh shit, like are these people like making the conscious choice like nope gonna walk like this everywhere?
Well, I think the don't look up was a direct opposition of people who started saying just look up, because it started with them going, if you just look in the sky you can clearly see, and then it's the people being like, no, I'm not gonna look up because
you're telling me to look up,
right?
Yeah, but they're also telling you to not look up. But that's like, is that okay?
Yeah.
But yeah,
none of it makes sense. It's about people.
I know. But,
right. It's just the opposition of what they established with the just look up thing.
And then when these guys, like, they're at that, like, final rally
and
for the president, and the one idiot looks up and he's like, hey, they've been lying to us. It's like, I literally have no shit in giant letter.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, how did you not just accidentally, like, you know, you're sitting out on your porch, you got a nice glass of iced tea, and you just happen to lean back and you're like, oh, they were lying. Like,
yeah. Well,
how was that your final moment?
I did like that it was the same night that both, like, the Don't Look Up people found out immediately. But yeah, it was kind of silly, unnecessary, but accurate if you're trying to depict like what's going on in the world. It's like, well, that's your opinion. I'm gonna have the opposite. Why? Because I'm bored.
Yeah, because I need something to argue about.
I need something to do.
Yeah.
But like, while all this is happening and like the world's going to shit because everybody's finally on the same page, we're about to die.
Yeah.
DiCaprio is like, hey, we're gonna go grocery shopping.
And this is the same day that they're doing the launch.
Yeah, the big bash launch is gonna happen.
Launch.
And you know, of course, that turns into a shit show. All the drones end up exploding. And like, once the mission is pretty much a failure, the bash guy is just like, well, everybody, it's all good. Everything's okay. I have to tinkle. You all stay here.
Nature calls.
He says nature calls and then leaves the room. And
then the president's also like, yeah, me too. I also have to pee.
Yeah.
I like how,
so suspicious.
because I said earlier that she knows there's a ticket off the planet.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you that.
Yep.
But you can assume that. It's like, because they talked about people building bunkers, because even if this thing worked, stuff's still hitting the planet, so we're getting in bunkers. But it was just funny how they waited an appropriate amount of time for her to be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom too. I forgot. This means we're leaving. Like, for the billionaire guy, as soon as he got the information, he's like, okay, I need to leave now. Everything's fine. And he's like, I think I have to go too.
Yeah, but I was literally this part I actually liked how they did it, like the back and forth between DiCaprio and them at the grocery store, and like during this bash launch, and everything's going to shit, and like they're all starting to panic, and DiCaprio's like, you know what? Why don't you get some of them potatoes? You know, like those really thin ones. And then it's like
fingerling potatoes.
Yeah, and then it cuts back, and they're like, oh my God, 6 drones have been destroyed. Can we still do this with 6? And then it cuts back, and he's like, oh man, look at this ground beef. Oh.
Yeah, it really shows how he has fully accepted that this is going to happen. He has absolutely no faith that it's going to survive. So he's like, well, I guess we might as well cook one last good meal.
And I do like how they show you the mainstream chaos, and then they show you the peace in the actual chaos,
right?
Because somebody runs in and just there's people running out of the store with handfuls of stuff, but they're calm.
Yeah, they're methodically like picking out what they want to eat.
Luckily, that store still had everything they wanted, left in it.
But like,
it wasn't like completely gutted.
Yeah, which you think it would be, but no, it was pretty good.
There was no bread though.
Bread,
no
milk,
bread,
eggs,
no milk,
gone.
no eggs.
But like, this is basically the end. But it just keeps cutting back from the craziness that's happening in the world to DiCaprio and his family kind of just showing gratefulness, and like they're telling each other great stories, and it's like, oh, I remember when I was a kid and Dad like pushed me down the slide, and like whatever. And
then the impact starts.
Yeah, well, but hang on, let's not rush past the sweet family moment. Like we can't glaze over that. I think they did a really good job with that scene.
Yeah, no, that was kind of touching.
Like I said earlier. Timothy Chalamet, gives some emotional bond to
nice
the
prayer.
Family.
Yeah.
And then Dr.
Oglethorpe.
Hey. He I like it when he walks in the door. He's like, sorry I'm late, but I didn't come empty-handed. He's got 2 bottles.
Yeah, well, I was wondering what happened to him, because you didn't hear from him for a while.
They had one scene where it was like glazed over.
Yeah, he was like being pulled out of a protest or something. And then that was it.
Yeah, but he's like, we will not be quiet. We will not be. But I do like how when he came in and sat down, he was part of the family. But I was really glad that they just didn't go, he needs a family at this point in the movie. Here, give him one. And there's random people on the screen.
They're just like, hey, he's joining us.
Yeah.
And then it was just.
And they never say anything about his family earlier in the film. It's just, it was natural for him to come in.
Yeah.
And his family knew, like the sons and his wife, like they all know what's going to happen. So everyone's just like, let's just have a good final moment,
They didn't,
please.
I think a good way to describe it is they didn't, talk about it too much. They just showed us, which was nice that we didn't have the
the one line they
explaining
give
it to
us,
everybody. They could have explained it to every actor in the movie, but they didn't.
The one line they give us, and I thought it was like a well-placed line where Jennifer Lawrence is saying what she's grateful for, and she just gives one. I'm grateful we tried.
Right.
And then DiCaprio's like, yep, we sure as hell did.
Yeah.
And then Oglethorpe is like, yeah, we gave it our best. And that's all we talk about.
That's all you need.
Like, other than that, the elephant is still in the room. We're not talking about it. We're just ignoring it. And it's like, I was totally fine with that.
Well, this coffee doesn't taste store-bought. Oh, it's not,
Literally the whole world starts shaking like as they're having this conversation.
And like you can see
grindstone beans every time.
Yeah, and you can see DiCaprio like getting the one arm on the one kid. He's got the holding the hand of the wife on the other one. And like, even Jennifer Lawrence is like, she grabs Timothy's hand, and like, you start seeing the panic on their faces, but
they're
then
just like,
but they keep it cool.
Yeah. And then
keep
when
it gangsta.
And then when it actually,
it's from all the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah. And then when it actually slows down and you see like the walls like evaporating around
that's
them.
like the last moment, like the last second that you realize this is actually happening.
I think one key thing here is, well, a couple things. It was intense and touching enough to forget that there was a ship leaving the planet. Yes. I completely forgot that was an option.
Oh, yeah, because Meryl Streep calls him, right?
Yeah.
And offers him the
he says no.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked was the fact that, since it was good enough you didn't think about it, and then we talked about this where you're like, it wasn't just shoom to the spaceship and you can assume or you hear the explosion or we actually watched it hit and there was people right where it hit and you're like, okay, those people are
obliterated
shadows.
immediately.
What is it? The like that one shot where it's right when it hits and it zooms out and you just see like the big shock wave
go out
traveling around, like
I liked that, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like all I could write was holy shit, because I was like, holy,
because I feel like a lot of times with some of these disaster movies that have these intricate stories in it, they kind of gloss over the destruction, where this is like, we'll give you a little slow-mo, we'll give you some stills of that slow-mo, then we'll show you at a wider scale, and then
there was like different cities, like how it was affecting different
go
parts
around
of
the world and get blown up, and then did we do a good enough job that you forgot these guys were on their way out? That's what we were going for.
And then in the explosion you see the spaceship.
The giant cock rocket.
They did it up.
I know. But as soon as I was like, that's a cock. I'm like, holy shit, is that a cock?
Is that supposed to be like an Elon bash?
Yeah, it's probably an Elon bash.
Did that happen before this movie came out?
Yeah.
There's a couple companies now making rackets.
Yeah, but like I at this end, I was so aggravated. I'm like, are you serious? These fucking bash people lived? When I saw the spaceship going, I was like, okay, well, maybe like a piece of the comet's going to break off and explode the ship as they're leaving.
That was an option. I was thinking, oh my word, something's going to tail off and blow them up too. And then it didn't happen. And I thought for sure they were either going to just leave it at that, but then the text scrolls up and it's like,
oh yeah, 22,740 years later.
Yep.
How is that spaceship still operating?
Well, the guy was really rich.
Yeah,
he was very
but I love when
he was just burning all his money.
Yeah, and they're panning across all the cryo chambers, and it's like Texon Oil, like something liability,
Megacorp, whatever.
Yeah. And I'm just like, that hits the nail on the head.
Cookie cutter people that could afford a ticket,
right?
Yeah.
And like they're on this like new inhabitable planet, and they're all running around naked.
I was like, wow, a completely CGI planet.
Yeah. I love that Meryl Streep had a fucking butterfly tramp stamp.
Oh yeah, that was great.
That was freaking great.
She's down for it. That's funny.
Yeah. But like, they see this creature and like it instantly eats Meryl Streep. And they're like, what the hell was that? And the tech guy is just like, I believe that was called a banana floss.
And Gorpus or something like that.
A grumpet.
While I knew it wasn't going to end well as soon as she started walking up to her. I'm like, that thing's got teeth, I bet. But while it was nice that they died, it was kind of like, okay, so he has all this money to locate a planet.
Yeah.
And then I said this before. I was like, well, the planet we were just on, the first one, had dinosaurs. Right. So like, what's to say this next one won't?
Yeah. It's like they went in with just no like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just walk
no
out
caution.
butt naked, no
totally
dinosaur
fine.
precaution.
Yeah, they didn't even like, check the air to make sure it was breathable before they.
They just walked out. He's like, oh, there's more oxygen than Earth.
Yeah.
Yes, this is paradise, an oasis. Oh, look at this creature. Starts getting eaten.
Jesus Christ.
And then Steve wrote down, eat them all.
Yeah.
I did like the pan out as more come.
Yeah, and he's like, whatever you do, don't pet them.
It just gets hammered. There's people getting chewed on.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
no, I was so glad they died.
Karma comes for us all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is kind of like, okay, you got all that money. It did make you live, but
a little longer,
just
but
a little bit longer.
Well, another 22,000 years.
Although, die instantly on the planet, or go get eaten by a dinosaur on another planet. Both ways, you're dead. I might put me on the ship, and I'd fist fight a dinosaur.
Yeah, as I'm going out, kill me.
You'll never take me alive. Become the king of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, like as they're eating you, you're like, I hope you choke on it.
Oh, but yeah, I thought it was really funny. It had those heartfelt moments, and it's kind of sci-fi, which I like. So overall, I thought it was a good watch. If you have, was it 2.5 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours
to
23.
2.5. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I liked it, but it took a bit to realize what kind of movie it was going to be.
Right.
And then. So if I watch this again, knowing,
you kind of go in.
It's
with
great,
the expectation.
and I still think there's such a significance of Chris Evans saying, we made this movie because why not?
Yeah,
it's a popcorn movie, and that's what it is, and they did it well.
Yeah,
too.
we care about this, and that's why why we really made it. It's a love letter,
it's like,
it's like a popcorn movie.
It's like a popcorn movie. It's like, I see what you did.
Oh my God,
I did like that part, and that's where I was.
Yeah,
like,
that was the total.
Anything goes. And
that was the
president
break
can
there.
Forget her son on the fancy
she was like,
spaceship.
oh yeah, I guess I did forget him. Like she didn't even care.
Oh my goodness.
No, that was the one time I was like, yeah, fuck you, Jonah Hill. When
and
he's like, she's coming back.
The room was
back.
empty, and he was still sitting there, just like waiting.
Yeah, don't worry, she's coming back, right?
I do like how he didn't get what was going on when the two most important people in the room exited. And he's supposed to be the third one, and he just didn't get it.
No, and when they launched that first mission, and like the rocket's about to go off, and he's like, "Oh, sweet Molly's kicking in. Time that shit perfect." Like this whole time, Jonah Hill is just on his own little world.
Jeez.
I did like the story. I think we can agree some parts were unnecessary.
Yeah.
But they still did those parts well. Nothing in this movie was like, oh, that's bad. Or like, oh, that wasn't well thought out. It was all well thought out and seemed very on purpose.
Yeah. They really built the world to make you feel like it was really happening in real time, and that something like this could happen and people would react in the ways that they did in this movie.
Yeah.
And the sexiest scientist alive did confirm there was aliens.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, yeah, there's aliens,
like, who
whatever.
gives a shit?
The world's gonna
the world's gonna end.
We're literally dead in 23 days now.
Yeah.
Does it really matter if aliens are alive?
Another thing, Tyler Perry was in it, so
yeah, there you go.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I would, because they did like that was kind of interesting for the type of movie, the way they introduced the actors in the with the big lettering.
Oh yeah, the big bold text.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. And I saw Tyler Perry. I was like, oh, cool. I was like,
all right, I'm gonna like this one.
Steve, do you ultimately give it a thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm still middle of the road.
Still,
middle of the road.
I think I say this for most things, but I'm like, if it was just like 20 minutes shorter, you cut out some of that like non-necessary.
Cut out the affair and.
All right, yeah. But like besides that.
Yeah, like
if you take out all the stuff I don't like, I like the movie.
No, like I don't want to say it like that. I just like
That's
in
what
a movie.
She was saying for you.
Yeah, no, like but in a movie where you tell me in the first 5 minutes I have 6 months left to live, and then you start feeding me affair plots, Then you started feeding me, oh, Jennifer Lawrence is jealous because DiCaprio's getting more famous than she is. And, like, they start a fight. I'm like, I don't need that.
Steve.
The world is literally ending.
If that didn't happen, would you be here saying, I wish they would have given me more?
That is the other side of it. But
it's an apocalypse movie with layers, Steve.
It's got layers.
I will
like
agree.
An ogre.
We did not need all the layers.
No,
some of the later, some of the layers.
If the whole purpose of it is nothing matters, the world is ending, then.
But everything matters because the world is ending.
Well, then it's like, then I don't put any stake in their affair when they start bringing that up, because I'm like, well, of course they're gonna get back together. The fucking world's ending.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Oh, it was
like,
pretty obvious.
You guys are literally gonna stay apart, knowing there's a comet coming at. Like, shut up. I'm not invested.
So Steve's nitpicking some things here and there, but ultimately,
I don't think it's really
like
nitpicking. There's a specific. He has the affair so that they have a place to eat dinner when the world ends, and we could see that as soon as he started having the affair. So no, I totally agree with Steve. I liked it. It was
and I mean,
good.
it's a fine watch. I was entertained through most of it. Like, I thought some of it was really fun. Like, the whole snack thing had me dying just because every time they cut back to her.
It's hard to write, 15 characters pretty well.
Right.
And there was no time where I doubted any of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, they were all so different, but they worked together in this story so well.
Yeah.
And at no time was I doubting Meryl Streep as the president. It was like, no, that's how she is all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really liked it, and I hope you did too at home.
I hope you did.
If
6
not,
months left.
Tell us why you hated it.
If not, we'll be there with a comet in about 6 months, 14 days.
I don't know if this goes on any lists of like apocalypse movies,
right?
For like becomes a classic or whatever. But it did say in the movie it's a popcorn movie, so
yeah,
that was kind of.
I should have made popcorn.
That was kind of refreshing to hear that in a movie where they're like, we're being funny and serious. The world's blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Just have some popcorn. Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy this is supposed to be silly.
I'm gonna change my answer. If I had 6 months, I'd buy the nicest recliner I could. I'd get it parked up with a dead center shot of the end of the world, and I'd be waiting there with my popcorn.
That would be.
That's a good answer.
That's a pretty good idea.
I like that. Get my feet up, have a nice get a Mike's Hard.
Like, that's what you're picking.
One Mike's Hard.
Your last drink. Yeah. That's what you're picking.
Yeah, Mike's Hard lemonade.
No.
Make it the blueberry flavor.
That's
I just want to suffer. You know?
Well, from all of us here at Every Film in the Book.
Yeah. Good luck with your last 6 months.
Happy end of the world.
God, what did you say at the end of the last one? Happy assimilating. Like
happy assimilating.
Yeah, happy death.
Doomsday. Everyone.
Yeah, happy doomsday, everybody.
Whether you got on the spaceship or not, you're still gonna die.
Everyone dies at some point.
Right.
Bye.
just remember, money means shit when an asteroid is coming.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that'll do it. Unless you guys have anything else, but I'm out.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Abrupt.